Think project management is just about timelines or budgets? Think again. It's a battlefield where only the most resilient leaders are forged, navigating through chaos and transforming it into a legacy of innovation and cultural change. Here is where your growth is ignited, not to avoid any challenges, but embracing the conquering of them. Forget about the conventional path. Dive into a journey where your impact echoes far beyond the confines of your single project. Are you ready to challenge the status quo? Because I am, and lead the charge? This is where your real story truly begins. If you're new to the channel, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, listen, that just simply means Ed. I have an 8-point framework. In these 8 points, my goal, my job is to unpack today's title, but I got a remix for you. We're going to talk about 5 pros and cons, but today's title is you probably want to watch this before becoming a project manager. The pros and the cons to project management truly revealed. So, family, the whole goal of this is the reason why I thought about this title of to talk about pros and cons is because I don't think I really addressed the pros and cons of getting in this field that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management. So what we're going to do, family, is first we're going to unpack the pros to understand, hey, what are some pros of being a project, being in this thing called project management? And then we're going to unpack the cons. And then at that end, I'm going to give you my closing remarks of, because I don't want to leave you with not understanding the value of becoming a project manager. So let's get into the pros right away. First point. I'm gonna give you 5 pros. I'm gonna give you 5 cons. Okay, here we go. Skill development across domains. You know, the role of a project manager is a very unique role. This is why I love it so much, is because the requirement is a really truly broad skill set, and you have to be able to encompass soft skills, like, for example, leadership and having the ability to articulate communication, and hard skills such as maybe there may be something technical that maybe you need to get in, or budgeting or scheduling, those type of things. And it's a continuous learning curve. So it keeps the role challenging and engaging and exciting all at the same time. Hey, family, as I mentioned before, this is the last week of March. I'm excited because for April, I'm going to give you what you guys have been looking for. Well, we'll see if you've really been looking for this. We're going to do some new training. There's going to be around some CAPM questions. We're going to talk about project artifacts, i.e., for example, a project charter, a business case. We're also going to talk about terminologies, project management terminologies, and PMP questions. You really want to lock in for this series for the month of April, because I'm going to be doing a lot of heavy book type training, meaning around the PMBOK 6 and then the new, I don't know, we calling it PMBOK 7 or just an addendum. So whatever it's called, we're going to talk about both of these books, and I really want to I want to over deliver so much and provide so much value. You're going to be like, man, how come he hasn't charged me for that? Well, that's coming. Just be patient with me. All right, but I digress. Let's move on to point number 2. Point number 2 in our pros: diverse industry application. Listen, as a project manager, I've personally shared where I've had the opportunity to work with on the application side, the IT side of things. I've also done a minor IT construction projects, as well as being on the informational security side of things, where it's not IT driven. So I've had this opportunity. So as a project manager, this is why I love this thing called project management, because you have the ability to jump around in these different industries, because the project management is project management, is your ability to lead. And so that's what we talked about on point number 1, developing those soft skills in leadership and communication. All right, point number 3, skill development across domains. You know, again, the role of management, or excuse me, the role of being a project manager is truly a very unique role, as we talked about. Besides of having that, besides of having that broad skill set, You have to be always continuously finding ways to develop yourself because you're maybe walking into new domains where you're going to have to get up to speed very fast. You're going to have to understand what is, kind of filling out the stakeholders, filling out the organization. You have to ask a lot of questions. That's, one of the things and I wasn't even thinking about this, but as I'm articulating this information out in this today's episode, I was really truly thinking, one of the what I started doing is started reading books around FBI books. So reason why I started reading FBI books by people that were actually FBI agents is because as a project manager, you have to have the ability to ask questions. You have to always watch this, family. Trust but verify. When yes, I trust you, stakeholder, but I need to be able to verify the information that you said. So again, family, that's just a little tip off of when I was just thinking about this of having the ability to go and read books around FBI or detectives and things like that because you're trying to get to the bottom of what they're not really actually telling you at times. Some stakeholders. All right, let's move on to point number 4. Catalyst for personal growth. With the role, you do inherit challenges ranging from tight deadlines to managing diverse teams. And the reason why I call this personal growth is because project managers often find themselves not just mastering technical skills, but having the ability to be patient, have empathy, and definitely be resilient. These are all attributes that will enrich your professional life as well as your personal life. When you're patient, there's certain things that you're able to respond in a different way. Before, I would may have responded in a very aggressive and just, why you do? But over through my career, be able to practice active listening and understand, okay, what was this person's angle? What are they trying to communicate to me? Maybe I'm not understanding. Let me ask some questions before I jump and assume that the communication between the person and I is they're trying to harm me or trying to attack me in some way. So being a project manager forces you to have active listening, to understand what the ask is, to understand what the feedback is. And you can't just automatically get in your feelings, as they would say. You truly need to understand what is going on around you. And point number 5, and the last point for the pros, is you have to have the ability to navigate chaos. I'm telling you, in the realm of project management, the ability to turn, watch this, family, chaos into ordinary day is a skill set and an art. And this is going to take you time. It's taken me probably 7 to 8 years, and I've been doing this project management thing more than a decade. So probably about the 7 or 8, I was like, I got it. I see now with the chaos, like you have to be able to stay calm. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm surfing, but you have to stay calm in the midst of chaos, in the midst of now your project has went from priority 10 to priority number 1, and you're in executive's offices on a weekly or maybe of a daily basis, having to answer questions, having to explain certain aspects. How do you keep your cool under pressure? And that's really what the just is in navigating in chaos. You have to be able to have the ability to keep your cool. You can't get too high, you can't get too low. You have to be in that really that middle aspect of things, because again, there's going to be environments that you may work in that could really, it may seem for somebody that is not a project manager, it could seem as very toxic. But what it is that once you get to the bottom of it, once you get to the root, there's just a lot of fear there, because anytime change happens with anything, you have to truly understand that change is inevitable. And a lot of people don't like change. And a true project has a beginning and end date, and it's very unique. So of course people are going to feel uncomfortable about the change. Of course they're going to give you a lot of pushback. Of course they're going to make your job challenging, but this is what you signed up for. You should understand that walking into it, family, is going to allow you to be a better project manager or better project coordinator in this business. All right. Now we have to tackle the tough stuff, as they would say, the crucial conflict, conversation type stuff. That's an excellent book, by the way. It's called Crucial Conversations. The cons here, family. Here's the cons. Ah, you're held accountable. One of the things is that as a true project manager, a lot of times you don't do the actual work. Your stakeholders are actually doing the work. They're actually, they're the subject matter experts. They're really the ones that are putting in the work, especially when it comes to certain IT projects. I can speak more from that aspect because that's where I spent the majority of my career at, is in IT. So having that ability to lead a team, even though you have no control over the work, it's sort of like a basketball coach or just a coach in general. Let's look at sports. Let's use this as a analogy. So you look at basketball, football, hockey, all of these different sports, soccer. When you look at it, the majority of the time, the person that is the one that gets kicked out the door first is the coach, and the coach has no control over how the players actually play. But that is the but. That's the conjunction here. They do. That coach does have control over how much he influences or she influences the players to be more successful. How do you create an environment where you ensure that the players, in our case, stakeholders, you're removing impediments. You are collaborating with them. You're jumping in to protect them from other work, other priorities that are coming their way. So unfortunately, you are one of the first people to go when a project doesn't have the success that maybe leadership is looking for. And if you're not let go, maybe you're benched and you're working on something, smaller until they feel the confidence that they can trust you again in leading a project. Point number two, there's going to be constant learning curves. I think one of the things that this is, I know we kind of labeled this as a pro in the beginning, but it's also a con because you have to be willing to stay aligned of what is going on. Recently, PMI last year, I believe in July, they came out and changed the CAPM exam from what it was based off of just pure PMBOK 6 to this new version. And sometimes people feel uncomfortable with that because they're like, well, why did we put out this new addendum when we still got the PMBOK 6? And again, family, you have to be able to constantly be learning. You have to be able to develop a mindset that I have to learn things and unlearn things, because before, agile really wasn't huge in the project management space, but now it is. So you have to learn agile. You have to understand Scrum. So again, it's a good thing, but it's also a con, because if you're not somebody that wants to be a long-term learner, this field, this career, this thing that I love, that I hope that you will fall in love with, Paul, called project management, you're not going to enjoy it. Point number three, as a project manager, sometimes you will walk an invisible tightrope. What is an invisible tightrope? Like a visible type. Okay, no, really, a visible tightrope, because you have to navigate stakeholders' expectations. See, and we understand frustration comes from a lack of understanding expectation. And this is the crazy thing about it. You have no authority over these stakeholders. Okay, you do have the authority to go report to their direct report, or you do have the authority to report up to executives to say, hey, Tom is not over here doing what they're supposed to do. They're not solving the things they need to do. So you kind of have to have the ability to navigate through leadership as well as with the team's capabilities, while at the same time keeping a watch this harmony and motivation. I don't know, that just sounded good to humming. I mean, excuse my vocals. But seriously, family, you have to be constantly motivating your team and at the same time creating harmony within the team. Point number four, the weight of the crown. Man, they say, what is it? The heavy head that wears the crown. Well, more or less, you have to, you're responsible for the success or failure of the project. We talked about that earlier in the first pro, where you're held accountable. So when you're wearing the crown, because you are the leader, the team, the executives, the leaders, Management, however you want to address this, is going to come to you first. They're not going to go to the stake. They're going to come to you first. What is going on with this project? Why are we behind schedule? Why are we over cost? Why is the scope out of control? Why is the quality? They're going to come to you because you're the project manager. This is why they hired you to lead this initiative. And because you don't have control over the project as far as from an authority standpoint, sometimes that burden can be heavy, but it also can be enlightening as well. So the pressure, I've seen project managers in these positions, and sometimes the pressure becomes daunting. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all can get to a point where, hey, enough's enough. But your reputation, in some cases, your career can slow down because of the fact that the true success is identify how the outcome, you heard me say outcome, not results, of how this project can basically be led. And sometimes that pressure can get to you. So having the ability to find outlets or having the ability to really pour into your team and trust your team is going to be key. And the last and final point of the cons is, like I mentioned before, responsibility without authority. What you want to be able to do is, because you don't have this authority, because even though the team is leaning on you and counting on you, you have to be able to have the ability to communicate often, fast, and ensure that the leadership is very aware, and you can't just hold things back from leadership. I've watched that too, which it doesn't make sense because it ends up coming back on you. So ensure that you talk to your leadership right away if there's something coming up. But watch this, family. Just don't go to them and say, well, Tom is really, he's failing over here. Just not, no, no, no. Explain what Tom is doing. Explain the proposed solution that you've either completed or you are going to attempt to do. And if leadership says, hey, you know what, ED, I don't even want you to deal with that. We're just going to get remove Tom, and we're going to bring Betty into the project as you know, as a stakeholder. Awesome. But again, anytime you go to your leadership, you want to have a proposed solution ready, because again, they hired you. They didn't hire you for them to do the thinking. They hired you because of your expertise, and it's your job to come up with a proposed solution. I don't care if it's off balance, but at least let them know you are thinking. Family, I really truly hope you enjoyed the pros and cons before you get in this thing that I love, that I hope you fall in love with, called project management. I'll give you my three, and I do mean my three closing remarks here. Listen, project management is a dynamic growth opportunity. If you're someone that can embrace challenges, if you can embrace organizational dynamics, if you can embrace having the opportunity to, I guess, let me go in my surfer mode or my karate kid, and balance stakeholder expectation, this career is definitely for you, because what you get out of it, it also can pour into your personal life as well. Because again, these are transferable skills. Point number two, the impact beyond projects. Listen, project managers truly play a critical role in shaping the future of the organization, not just through successful completion of projects, but also, this is the key word which I talked about in the Magnetic Project Manager, that book right there, is they have the ability to influence organizational culture, as well as the innovations, acting as change agents. You know, one of the things when you get in this thing called project manager, and being a project manager or a project coordinator, you have the ability to impact change, because you're working across matrix where you're hearing from everyone around the organization, uh, from different departments, and you're able to get the truth because you're at the ground floor, meaning that they're telling you, they're not giving you some made up response or some political response. They're telling you, as my grandma would say, like it ti is, because it's important for them to get that and to vent that, so you understand what's truly going on more than some of the actual leaders. And having the ability to drive that change in an effective way is going to be key. Then the last and final last and final point, embrace the journey, not the destination. Embrace the journey, not the destination. I know everybody wants to take a 2 week boot camp to get their PMP or their CAPM. Great, good for you. But this is a journey. Even when you get your CAPM or your PMP, what's the next step? How are you going to grow as a project manager or a project coordinator? Or even my program managers and portfolio managers. I haven't forgot about you. But the point I'm trying to make, family, is that being able to embrace the journey, understand that, hey, I've gotten in this career to be to in project management, and my goal is to finish my career through project management. Now, if you decide not to, you decide to do something different, great, because these are again all transferable skills. I truly believe, and I would love to see some numbers on this, that I believe a project manager could be a CEO, could be a CFO, could be a CIO. I truly believe that with everything that I believe in. And so I just challenge you, family, that enjoy the journey. I know that you want to get those letters behind your name, or I know that you want to get the extra pay, but I'm telling you, family, enjoy the journey, because when you get there, now you're sitting in the captain's seat and you have to lead stakeholders that do not report to you, you're going to have the courage to, when you're being challenged, to step up and embrace the conflict by being professional and articulating proposed solutions out. This is going to help you in the long run. So, family, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This has been your boy ED. Until next time, you know my slogan. I got to stop with this head thing. I don't know what's going on there, but you know what it is. I guess it's bewitchy. I remember. Okay. Anyway, family, until next time, I'm gone.